All right, guys, how are you guys doing? We have three special guests today. We have Carl and Nick and Nate, Activeight, and we have so for this, unfortunately, I have to tell you that Brett's unable to continue doing the podcast at this point this semester. School has to come first, so she just has to bow out for this. But it's just going to be me for a second. So I hope you guys still pay attention to everything that's coming out and everything that's part of YouTube and SoundCloud and all that other stuff. But today we have a group interview with they're all DJs and all producers. So I think this is a good conversation to have between people in the same field of the music industry. So just going to get into the regular programming. So, like, what have you guys been listening to, like, for our daily wavelengths? Like, the artists you guys have been listening to, either, like, old school.
Heavy rap, everything, a lot, man. I grew up in North Jersey, about 20 minutes outside of New York City. So, in that area of the state of New Jersey, you're going to hear a lot of some of everything, hip-hop, jazz, Latin, house, dance, everything, you know what I mean? So just it's been a combination of different influences musically that I've just kind of picked up and rode with over the years.
Yeah. I've been really tuning in a lot of...
Oh, sorry, guys. That was Carl that started off, guys. Can you guys just say your names when you guys say stuff? It's not my...
What's up, guys? My name is Nate, also known as Activeight. I really listen to, like, whatever's popping nowadays, because music always changes consistently over very quickly, actually. 1 minute the biggest song in the world is a Latin track, and the next one is a complete raging hip-hop track, and I see what's popping. I see where the audience would view music and stuff and see how it goes. And, some of the music that I hear is really, really good. I really like them. I've been digging to a lot of Cardi B, Gummo, and Tekashi 6ix9ine. Oh my god, dude, he's raging, but he's just he's killing it. And apparently he's been doing really well lately. But I like it though. He says he's the king of New York.
Yeah, that's where you got to start, because I'm Nick, manager of Aktiveight Productions, one of the managers here, and what I listen to and what I've been focusing my attention on more so has been the R&B and rap genres, because it's such a wide range of music, R&B and hip-hop and rap. There's so many different categories, and 1 minute, one certain type of hip-hop could be really popular, and the next minute, another underground version of hip-hop comes up and surfaces into the world that no one's ever heard of, and people are really excited on what's coming out, what's new. It's not about the old school, but at the same time, you got to go back to throwbacks, and no one ever forgets the days where DMX was making his name, and 50 Cent, and those are like the 90s throwbacks, but at the same time, these people are still relevant in the game now, because they're always coming up with new stuff, new material, new content. So.
And just to piggyback off that, I definitely agree with the fact that, the classics are always going to be, relevant to a certain extent. I mean, you got songs from the 60s that people are still rocking out to. I mean, like I said, I've grown up listening to everything from hip-hop, rock, pop, R&B, jazz, Latin. And, those guys that have really pioneered a lot of those genres are still looked at as being like the godfather of soul, like James Brown, for example, or Frankie Knuckles, the godfather of house music. I'm in a history of hip-hop right now with Professor MacArthur. We're going through, the different key guys that really started hip-hop. DJ Kool Herc, Grandmaster Flash.
Yes, he did.
Yeah.
So, it's all about just seeing where the foundation comes from and building on that. So I think, over time, everything has its own evolution. But, in order to stay relevant, you kind of have to go back. I mean, music today still borrows from those old records. So
that's true.
Speaking as since, like I said before, you guys are all producers, and speaking of how everything's being reused and like remade, how are your thoughts of mixing in old themes of music into the current day? How are your feelings about that?
I mean,
like,
when
then sampling and
when it comes down to sampling, I mean, it always looks back to I see music being created like it's the same song you hear in the dance music world. It's the same way, it's the same rehashed style of music that you would hear, and using the old elements from some original songs into new songs as well is very, very relevant. But they don't look too far. They look to who influenced them back in like 2010 versus back in 1990, 1990 or 1980. They don't really look. That's where I fear that the creativity is like slowing down there, because they're looking back at who was popping like 2-3 years ago and replicating their music versus people who were popping 30-40 years ago, and then seeing how you can rehash that. But for me, I feel that producers now should, I would say, don't restrict yourself to go back to way back in the way back in the day of the classical periods. Don't go too far.
Wherever,
but see where it's relevant. I look into what's more relevant now, and I see a lot of hip hop artists sampling up house tracks into their stuff, and using house music into like with music artists that are in the hip hop and R&B category. They're dishing their own 2 cents of what they think house music should be, and it's very nice. I like it. Some people do well, some people don't somehow, and I don't hear the people who don't. I've only seen a couple people who actually, like a couple rappers and a couple of singers who did like dance music, like EDM dance music and stuff, and it's cool. It's all great
pop stuff. It's all about what's popular, and that's when EDM was at a increasingly large state that every artist wanted to get on an EDM track. At some point, there was a big buzz of trap music and using electronic synths and stuff when back in 2010 and going there. So I feel like resampling and sampling tracks is something that can be done throughout music history. You can do something that was released. You can sample something that was released yesterday, but it all pertains to the copyrights and getting the licenses for those copyrights. At the end of the day, you could have done that and sampled somebody's song that was released yesterday, but at the end of the day, you probably lose a lot of money in copyrights and trying to get that license through because it's such a relevant song. A lot of people go for songs that are in the public domain, and that's a really good way to sample tracks for free. You still have to go through the licensing process, but they don't require you to dish out any money for those licenses, and that's a pretty good benefit. So classical music back in 1920s, to go into 30s, some stuff that are that have been released in the 60s are going to be in the public domain very soon, and people are going to jump on that, and it's going to be a madhouse if you want it for free. But if people have already had the idea, they got the license for it, and they're probably at some record label status where they could do all this stuff. But for underground artists, it'd be wise to license songs in the public domain.
Okay. Anything to add, Carl?
Again, it's all about just finding what influences you and then rolling with that. I've seen kind of on both sides of the spectrum recently with music, a lack of originality, but also kind of an uprising creativity in that aspect of taking those older records and kind of making something completely new out of it that many people wouldn't expect, which I think is neat. Like Kanye West's new joint Fade that just came out. I mean, that sampled
one of my favorites.
3 90s house records, which I've grown up listening to myself. So when I heard that, I'm like, wait a second, like this is hot, and I drop it at like every party that I DJ now, and it's like people go crazy. So, I mean, it's just all about, kind of finding that balance between originality and creativity, using stuff that's been relevant for a long time to kind of tap into a whole new audience.
Yeah. And to add on to that, there's no such thing as the most original song in the world. There's always, everybody has always looked back and have taken some element in there. I think it would be impossible for anybody to create a song that doesn't use anything that any other artist has ever used, compositional wise, lyrics wise, or anything like that. It's people have always taken in from who they've influenced in there. But I feel like it's more relevant if you would see what ideas that other people made and put it into your own work and work it out.
It's like The Simpsons did it kind of way.
Simpsons did it, yep.
It's already been done, so we just got to keep moving forward and finding your taste of originality in music rather than somebody else's.
Yeah. Speaking of influences, what do y'all influences, like, say, as a DJ or a producer, or just as a human being, like an influence?
Well, funny enough, I actually come from a family of musicians, very musically inclined family, and I started off as a musician before I even delved into production and DJing. I started off, learning the fundamentals of piano and classical music, notes, chords, things like that, and slowly transitioned more into the rhythm side. I started picking up percussion, drums, things like that. So, I mean, just listening to different styles of music and, the different rhythm structures kind of, just prompted me to begin kind of my own journey into music and creating my own thing. So, I've taken elements of, jazz and Latin to produce my own original music. And, you'll even hear it in the instrumentation if, whoever's heard my music, they'll tell you, like, wow, like that conga is pretty dope, or that kick is real tight, So all my influences just come from really just hearing different things and listening to a bunch of different stuff.
Yeah. Well, my family is not musically inclined at all. No one in my family has.
We're starting from ground zero here.
We were the first in our family, and we really picked up a lot through the media that we watched, like television, movies, and most likely the internet as well.
Internet influences us a lot.
We're always on the internet, and we always really get into what's hot now. Like our first album we bought ever was 50 cents. This is a free promo. It's our first album that we ever bought was 50 cents, Get Rich or Die Trying. And my dad, we were young as hell, and Nick wanted to buy it, and we were in Barnes & Noble. He said, you gotta get this album, My dad was just blindly bought it, and when he first heard it, he was like, oh my god, Nathan, Nicholas, what in the hell are you listening to? And you know what, we still have it. We still have that album. It was a great album, but it was not a good first album to buy when you're like 8 or 9 years old.
Listening to radio influenced a lot about music, but people personally who influenced me to be who I am today. My father was a big influence. My family, everybody around me, friends. It doesn't stop. Wherever you are in life, you can always do something. Especially when you're young, you can do anything you want. You can try to be anybody you want. And when I started going for music stuff, I wasn't really thinking more in the music perspective. I was more thinking about the business side of it. So my father was a very business-oriented person, and that's where I get most of my kicks from. But now I'm focusing more on the music to it, and my brother's been there coaching me through DAWs and production tools and studio and stuff like that. And I'm getting really inclined in how to work around a studio, and it's a lot of thanks to Nate and this school here. Because if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't actually be in this program at all. I'd probably still be at Camden County getting my bachelor's in business administration or something like that. So it just, whenever you have that instinct to go for it, you just should go for it. There's no way around it. Your gut instinct is always the right instinct.
And on that tip, what made you actually want to pursue music? was it just like something that you just had to do? It's like something that's the only thing I could ever see myself doing, or is it somebody gave you an avenue to appreciate that could be possible for you?
For me, it was more so just the fact that I've always been around it. From an early age. From ever since I could really walk. It's always been a part of my life. So I figured, why not take advantage of all the different resources and influences around me, and use that to my advantage. I mean, there's a lot of different avenues I know I could have taken, and I've even considered. 9-to-5s, stuff like that. Very noteworthy positions in society, like fireman, cop, whatever the case may be. But I just see myself as a very creative person, and for me to just limit my creative potential and my skill sets, my abilities, I feel like would be me kind of limiting myself. Mm-hmm. And I wouldn't want to look back on that and regret that. I feel like I'd really be selling myself short.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, I was originally from Pittsburgh. Me and Nick are originally from Pittsburgh. And when we first moved down to Jersey, when I started high school, I didn't want to just be the same lame kid I was back in 8th grade and before and everything. I want to try something new. For me, I thought about, doing a lot of things when I was younger, but, I didn't really set it to a specific one I wanted to do. I always just want to be everything. One day I want to do one thing, and then I'll go out and do my research and dish out my allowance on needless things that I only need for like a day, and I will never really get into it. But when I got into music, I really said to myself that I want to try to see how far can I take this, and and as I learned my DAWs and Pro Tools and all that stuff like that, and even DJing as well, I picked up that on that too, because I really wanted to not try to throw it away. Let's just say throw it away the next day, play it one day, throw it away. I don't want to do that anymore. So. And the cool part was no one in my school really did any music, like, producing wise. So I would be probably the first kid to ever really influence anybody to go out and pursue a career, like be a rapper or be a DJ or anything like that. Because we had a lot of rappers in our school, and they had no producers. So I was like, all right, I'll be the first guy to do it. So why not?
A lot of people coming in and out of our house in Ocean City to produce tracks and stuff like that. It was one crazy time, man. Let me tell you. But
they treat our house like a whole entire party house.
I wasn't with it at the same time he was. He was getting into it, and I was in there just trying to listen and see what I could help as far as like what kind of pitch you should put this on, or like a note or something like that. It was really minimal.
But at the time, we didn't know any of that at all. We were just going off of what was in our heads and what we found on YouTube. We were just going with the flow, see how we did it.
But I think the question was, why did you do it? What made you want to do it?
What made me want to do it? I mean, I felt like I want to try something new. I never really set a set skill for myself. I mean, except being very good at video games is kind of a set skill you call nowadays. I mean, with the internet, with YouTube now, you can do that. But I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to grow up doing that. So I didn't want to put a career on that. So I decided that, if music was a good thing to do, I could actually find some time to do something myself and really learn that, I can actually teach myself how to make music and then end up becoming a professional.
So you did it because you wanted to learn how to do music? You wanted just the experience and how to make music?
I wanted to experience it, but then since I got so far, I just decided that, let's make it a career.
For what reason did you want to make it a career, though, man? Just saying. I'm in business.
What reason I want to make it a career?
I'm in business with you. Why? I haven't heard this, bro. Let me ask you this.
Why would I want to? I mean, I want to make this a career because I'm not very good at a lot of things either. But I feel like music is so good to me. I feel like it connects to me more. It's like that second voice I've never had. It's like that. It's like how I can't explain things in person. Like, you see how bad I'm talking right now. That's the reason why I do music, is to express my feelings in a more of a visual and creative way, rather than just talking it to you guys, because then you hear me stumble and say all day. I don't want to deal with that. So normally for myself, I think it's my second voice, and I feel like that if I put all my emotions on it, I can really paint a good picture mentally.
Well, we can all say your speaking skills aren't as good as your music skills, and with that, I want to say, I'm glad to be in business.
To properly love. To properly love.
It's funny. But he's the man. I got into this because of him. He needed a business partner, and when we first started DJing and doing our thing, we really had no structure. So I came in with the plan, and we executed. So that's why I'm in it. Helping my brother out, and trying to live my dreams as well as an artist and a musician too. But music is really important to everyone's lifestyle, whether it just be the ride to work or you just need to relax and listen to some good music. It really all depends to whom the listener is and how often they want to unwind to someone's particular type of music. So.
Mm-hmm. And going on like the specific type of music and how it makes people feel. Since Carl, I know you're a DJ, and I know Nate, you're a DJ. How is when you look into an audience, like say before you even start DJing for a party or like an event or something like that, how do you scope out the environment to make sure that you know exactly what to play? Do you scope it off of not necessarily like something like assumptions? Do you go off assumptions or you just go off of feeling?
For me, it really depends on the area.
Mm-hmm.
I generally have kind of a knowledge of my area, specifically North and Central Jersey. A lot of those, a lot of that demographic is mainly very hip hop and dance music lovers. Mm-hmm. So I know from experience that that's what they want to hear. Mm-hmm. And even me growing up, I witnessed people going out to different events, different festivals, things like that. That's what they respond to. That's really what they're all about. But when it comes to a new environment, I just kind of test the waters. That's kind of what you have to do as a DJ. Your job is to connect with the crowd by any means necessary. So if you throw on a record, or a track, and they're not really feeling it, what do? You switch it up, try something new, see how they respond to that, and you go by that. So a lot of it is just, taking chances, really,
Yeah, I mean, when I look into a crowd, like my first ever gig I ever did was my high school prom, which was probably the worst thing you could ever do, but it was a big risk for me, but I decided to do it. I would look at, if I'm in front of like a house party or a crowd or anything like that, I look at body language is probably the best thing you can look at. If you don't see people jumping up and down and dancing, that's already the number one red flag given. If no one's moving, it's not gonna be a fun time. So you might as well switch it up, play around and stuff like that. Sometimes there are some times where people come up and try to tell me, hey, you gotta change the song, and then they start touching your stuff, and then even when you're in the middle of doing that, you also got to cater to the crowd and everything. It's a big red flag, especially with body language. And I feel like another way is that if people come up to you and request music more often than they should. Like if you're gonna get requests regardless. Right. That's not even a given. There's gonna be no gig you're ever gonna DJ for.
Play Closer by the Chainsmokers.
There you go. There's gonna be one person's gonna say that. One person's gonna say that, and then but if the thing is that people come in more often than they should, then that's when there's something going on. You're not playing the right music they're feeling for. And it's time to really look into a broad aspect. Because I would view it like if I was in that party and I see myself DJing, what am I going to say if he plays that song? Yeah. What am I going to do if I wasn't there? But
it all depends on the event too, because if you're just going to a party, a house party is totally different. You can grunge out, rap all day long. That's all I want to hear, and get some trap in there and heavy electronic music. But if you're like doing for like a wedding, you got to cater to what the bride and the groom have like set for you. It's really all depends on the mood and the style of the event.
That too, and it's honestly it's a science to it. Whether people want to believe that or not, most people wouldn't see that, but as the DJ, you're pretty much in control of what's going on.
Of the mood.
And you're setting everything. You're pretty much setting the mood and the vibe for the whole night. So for me personally, it gets to a point where, maybe 5, 10, 15 minutes in, I already got them. So I'll just start dropping back to back, whatever the hell they're feeling at the time. And I know because of the way they're responding, like I got them for the whole night. So, and like Nate said, it's, looking to see how people respond, body language. That's a big thing when it comes to things like that. And knowing your setting, knowing your crowd, your demographic, what age group is mostly, present at whatever event you do. Even things as simple as race. Let's be real here. Mostly Caucasians are going to listen to different than African Americans. That's just the way it is. It's a culture thing. So when I'm at if I'm at a wedding where there's mostly like 40s, 50-year-old white people, I'm gonna play classic rock because I know that's what that generation, that's what they like. Versus if I'm at a house party or something, and most of the crowd is, in their 20s, maybe some even 30s, let's just say. They're going to want to hear mostly, hip hop, a little bit of rock here and there, some reggae, dance, house. Like that's just the generational thing, and it's a cultural thing. So being aware of all of those things too is what I go by when I'm DJing.
Yeah, I can definitely attest to when a DJ gets it right. I'm on the floor. Because you saw me when we had our event. I don't know if you guys saw the video that I posted of one of the events we had for RMG. But Carl was DJing, and I was pretty much dancing the whole time he was up there. So he was doing his job. That's how I always judge if a club is fun. Like I'm always like, if I'm taking time to get dressed, freshen up, look good, and go somewhere, I need to be able to have fun the whole time.
Right.
There shouldn't be like a dead moment at all. So if like the DJ does what the DJ is supposed to do, as you say, is to make sure that people are on the floor.
Yeah, people
the
are
whole
always
time
moving.
And always moving. So that's how I judge it. I guess do you guys have any like singles that people can search for on SoundCloud or anything?
Are we going to do the promos now?
Yeah, it's the promo part.
Yeah,
the promo part of the show.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, for me, it's always everywhere Activate.
The Corporation 1 came out March 2017.
On St. Patrick's Day. Can you believe that?
So we're still focusing on getting sales for that and getting streams and stuff. We're on SoundCloud, Spotify, everywhere. I can go through the whole list. It's up to you to listen to it. Go to YouTube, title, blah, blah. You'll find it. Activate.
Can you spell that for them?
Aktiveight. Activeight.
Or if you can't read, you can look it up on the title screen right there. So I'm pretty sure Derek will know how to spell Activate and everything. So people can just copy and paste the search.
I'll figure it out. Just check it out on our Instagram at Millennial Tunes Podcast on Instagram. So I'll post everything up there. For you, Carl?
As for me, I'm actually relaunching all of my social media this year, probably within the next few weeks. And I'm going to have a lot of stuff coming out within the next couple months because I'll actually be DJing in Miami during Miami Music Week. Mm-hmm. So we're going to have a label that I actually just started working alongside, pretty much working with as an artist. We're all going to be down there, and they're going to be releasing a lot of our stuff prior to, up and coming close to Miami Music Week around maybe mid-March. So definitely keep you guys posted with that.
Okay.
Sweet.
Do you guys want to post out your social medias?
Everything at Activate. AKTIVEIGHT at Activate.
Everything.
Check out our website, www.activate.com. It's popping. We got plenty of videos. You can actually look at all of our music on that website.
And as for myself, Carl Chase, just stay tuned. I'm going to be coming out pretty hard, just going hard with everything within the next few weeks. So get ready.
I guess a few more questions before we leave, guys.
Sure thing.
So, I guess let me give a combination question. What's your dream collabs, and what do you hope to change in the music industry with your creations?
Wow, that's a big one. I would say dream collabs would definitely consist of artists within the underground house music scene, maybe even the mainstream dance music scene, and some hip hop and R&B artists. Whether they're up and coming, they're big, emerging, whatever the case may be. At the end of the day, we're all in this together. We're all in this small but big industry. You know what I mean? So I feel like I really don't want to limit myself as far as who I work with, because you never know how somebody else may be able to help your career and your growth as a person and as an artist. What was the other question?
What do you hope to change?
Oh, what do I hope to change? I definitely hope to introduce, I guess, a new twist on what's already hot. How I plan to do that, I have no fucking idea. But, I plan to really create something that's like out of this world, just fucking hot. You know what I mean?
It starts with a conception. That's awesome. Yeah. Gotta think about it first. Then it'll come to you.
Yeah.
But it comes with time.
But who would you want to collaborate with? Like anybody. I would say for you, you'd be like Oliver Hallidans. Have you ever heard of him?
Oh yeah.
Like Hilo and all that stuff like that, technical artists and stuff like that.
Like who would be your dream?
Who? Like
if you could pick
anybody in the world,
like anybody, like you could pick Skrillex.
All right, so, man, so many people, but a lot of my favorite dance guys. When I really started getting more into electronic music, DJ Chucky, Afrojack,
Nice.
Deadmau5.
Call them out, man. One of these days, man. They're gonna hear this podcast.
Yeah.
They're gonna be into you.
Let's see, even the old school classic house guys, Louis Vega, David Morales, Chicago guys, DJ Sneak. The list goes on, but it's all about just coming together really as a community of artists, not just DJs, not just singers, not just rappers, not just keyboardists or pianists or guitarists or whatever the hell. Like we're all in this together. We're all trying to make it. So
at Aktiveight Productions, our motto is collaboration is key to becoming successful in the music industry. We take that into heavy consideration when we're looking for new talent, and trying to collaborate is one of our main focuses, because if we could help somebody become more relevant in the music industry, then maybe they can help us back along the way whenever they're, pursuing greater things. It all starts somewhere, and what we're trying to do is activate their potential. That's why we call this Aktiveight Productions, because we give them the opportunity to go out there and do it, with the music industry as they please, but at least they have some type of structure and building spot, and we think collaboration plays a big part in developing an artist and making sure that everything works out the way they want it to, because the music industry is very tricky, and I've been going to this school for like 3 years now, and it's honestly it could be easy. Some classes are kind of lax than others, but at the end of the day, whenever you're out there in the real world, there's no second chance, no second guessing. You really got to make that first initial instinct decision, and usually it comes out to be on top. For us, we just got to keep growing and keep pursuing what we're trying to do before we go out full-fledged and show everybody what we've been up to, because it takes some time. A record may drop, but a year down the road, get famous. It's just a matter of time for us, at least, and we're going to keep working hard every step of the way.
Yeah, and I really take into consideration people. I say when I work with people, I say egos don't really matter at this point. People who I know, who I've really have met and talked to, I've always asked, yo, you just want to collab, you want to make on a track together, just make something small, something easy. And, that some people are just like, oh, I don't want to waste my time with somebody who has, 250 followers on Instagram, for example. This happened a long time ago. Some people look into your profile, and they don't really, that's the first thing they look at. When they look into your profile on Instagram, people have, people they say, oh, he only has 250 followers, but his music's tight, but I'm not going to get famous off this guy, so I'm just going to scrap his creativity. But that really gets it out.
That's a very limiting way of thinking as well.
Yeah.
I feel like in this industry in particular, entertainment, images is a big part of, the way people perceive you and everything, but it shouldn't get to a point where it limits you from wanting to work with somebody. I feel like we've been socially conditioned to just go straight for, looking at how many followers somebody has, when that can easily be faked. I mean, people buy followers all the time, so it's one of those things where, you should judge an artist not by, as cliche as it is, not by the cover.
Mm-hmm.
Look deeper into what they're about, what they're actually accomplishing, because there's plenty of big guys out there that don't have 50,000 followers on Instagram or Twitter or whatever the hell, you know what I mean? So if we could just get past all the social media bull crap, I feel like this industry would be a lot less segregated, and a lot more integrated.
Yeah, you definitely look at the dedication to each artist has rather than just the amount of followers, because dedication outbeats and work outbeats an artist any day. If an artist is making music but not working, the artist isn't gonna pan out to be who he wants to be. But if you're working hard and you're just focused, that work is gonna outbeat that artist's talent any day.
Sure.
I think that, yeah.
That's pretty much what this podcast was about. I wanted to create it for mostly people that aren't not well known yet, but are trying to rise up, and then the whole collaboration between everyone in the music industry. I wanted everybody to get the same amount of respect for the job that they put in to make the industry what it actually is.
It's lit. That's lit.
So
Are we still on record?
It's us little guys. It's us little guys that make it more. It doesn't matter about the top, the biggest in the top 40. It's us little guys here.
Everybody started out from the ground. You can't just
can just walk in a celebrity right?
And look at somebody big and be like, oh yeah, they got big overnight. It took years and years and years of just grinding. You know what I mean? A lot of big guys. I mean, Calvin Harris, for example. Let's look at Calvin Harris. I learned that just by reading his biography, Calvin Harris started out working in a fish market in Scotland. And he's been working his ass off making music, and he's one of the highest paid DJs in the world.
Yeah.
It's.
And he's been making tracks way back. If you thought that one song, Met You, that summer song was his first hit song, that's when he became more relevant.
Right.
But and even before, he's been making tracks way before that, and and he had tons of albums. And they were great, and they were all good.
It was
songs.
It was just that one diamond in the rough that made him great, and and anybody could do it. You see one hit wonders all the time.
Yep,
it happens,
especially nowadays.
Nowadays, it's very more prominent because it's a singles world now. It's not an albums world. You got EPs, you got the singles are what people want because it's out. It's just one track and it's cheap. It's available.
And I don't know if you guys ever heard of Carl Cox.
Yep, I heard of him.
Obviously, Tiesto. Guys of that generation. They started out just doing warehouse raves over in Europe, and then now they're among the biggest DJs in the world. It's crazy. And even in an interview I saw with Tiesto, he went back to saying he never even expected this to even happen.
Yeah.
His goal, his end goal was not stardom as a DJ. It just so happened that the industry caught on to what he was doing and said, hey, we want to work something out with you. But at the end of the day, he was just doing what he loved.
It could just come up with an artist can come up with an idea,
right?
Like Stevie Aoki. He built his own record label and he made it, what it is now today. What was it called?
Denmark
yeah.
Records. Yeah. And that was such a dream thing that he had, but as soon as people caught word that his music was hot, that's when his career took off. And it can all start with just one business decision, one partnership, one deal. You just don't want to be trapped and locked in, because that's where they get you, in the fine print. Whenever you're signing contracts and stuff like that, you really got to be mindful of the industry tomfoolery and the tricks, because you might not understand it. Take it to a lawyer, have him read it. It pays to get your money back at the end of the day when the deal goes good.
Sure.
For the last question I'm going to ask you guys today, what was the favorite song that you guys have made yourself? Like, can you figure out like a song that you really?
I made my favorite song so far. Right now, I've already made my favorite song. I'm actually gonna go to the studio right after this and go finish it. But my most favorite song I've made so far right now was The Story With You featuring Andrew Moore, which was featured on the RMG compilation album. And because the funny part was that song, you can literally watch. There's a video of me in the studio with me, Nick, Andrew, and a friend, John Carlo. John Carlo, saying a shout out to Brazy Music and John Carlo. He was in the studio with me, and he was with me, telling me what he thinks about the song, and we've been going back and forth trading ideas, and you can watch and see the entire song being produced in that one studio session on Facebook Live, and I saved it, so I know that once my documentary comes, I can put that on there saying I made this in one studio session.
Oh, you didn't even say you won People's Choice for PHL Live.
Well, that's when we get that later. We can get to that later. We can do that. 2017,
2018 champ over here. People's Choice.
Congratulations.
People's Choice. We're making moves, guys.
That's great. Yeah, I'd have to say my favorite track that I've produced so far is a track by the name of Tambores, which you guys all know because it's on the album. It's on the Rowan Music Group compilation album, Who Are You Volume 1. So check that shit out. It's the last track on the album. I made that over the course of about a month. And this was in 2013, and I still I rock out to that shit whenever I hear it. But I'm working on a bunch of different things right now, a bunch of different projects, and slowly my production, I'm starting to notice, is starting to get a lot better. So, a lot of the old stuff I produced, I hate it. So, but,
it's all about progression.
Exactly. So, just gonna keep it going.
My favorite song I've created, I had 4 really good songs that I really wanted to take to a whole nother level, but the deal kind of went sour. So my favorite song was "Get It, Got It Good," and that was my first ever, produced, recorded, everything, mastered track that I've ever done.
It was that song came off of my personal album, The Corporation One, which also features a bunch of different artists that helped us out.
Featured Anita and Jazzy.
Andrew
shout out to those guys. I was, so focused, and right now I'm creating an EP. So for my capstone project coming soon, we're gonna try doing a drop in summertime sometime, and working from there. Have a big promotional party and things like that. So stay tuned. Lethal Range is coming with some good stuff, and we're gonna have a good time making it too.
Look forward to hearing that.
Word.
Well, I just want to thank you guys for being here. Thank you guys for being interviewed by me.
Absolutely. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, no problem. Well, can you guys just give your social medias really quick so everybody can follow you guys?
Yeah, for sure. I am currently at Chase letter N Treasure on Instagram right now. But like I said, I'll be coming out with my own individual Instagram, relaunching pretty much everything: SoundCloud, Instagram, Facebook, all that. So stay tuned.
Mm-hmm. And everything: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, SoundCloud, Snapchat, whatever. It's at Aktiveight, AKTIVEIGHT.
You can find me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram at Lethal Range. At Lethal Range.
All right. Thanks, guys, for listening. And whenever you guys have any more things to talk about, you can always just contact me and support you guys as always.
Definitely.
All right. Bye, guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.